downloaded Android Studio to our computer and installed it. But the installation process is not completely finished yet. In this lesson, we will complete the SDK installations. So if you're ready, let's start. First, let's find the Android Studio app we downloaded from the search bar. When we type Android Studio here, we can find the application we downloaded. Okay, as you can see, we found the app. Now I click on the Open option so we can open the application. If you notice, a window called Import Android Studio Settings popped up. If you already have Android Studio installed on your computer, you can directly transfer the settings there. But since we are going to install Android Studio for the first time, we choose the Do Not Import Settings option. I click the OK button. As you can see, a window in the form of an Android Studio Setup Wizard has popped up. Now we can start the installation. I click the Next button. Here we come across two different options, Standard Installation and Custom Installation. You can complete the necessary installation procedures by choosing the standard installation from there. But I want to show you all the steps in the installation process, so I will choose the Custom option. I click the Next button again. On this page, it asks us to select the JDK, i.e. Java Development Kit location. This kit comes embedded with Android Studio. Actually, there's no need for the JDK installation that we did in the previous lesson, but we still want the updated JDK file to be on our computer. If we want to use a different IDE instead of Android Studio, you must have a JDK on your computer. We download the JDK and make our computer ready to write code just in case. That's why we choose the embedded JDK option here. I click the Next button again. Here we can choose the theme of the interface we will code. There are two different options, Darkula and Light. I usually prefer the Light mode. You can also change these settings later. I click the Next button again. On this page, we will do the necessary procedures for the installation of the SDK, that is, the Software Development Kit. As you can see here, Android SDK Platform, Performance, and Android Virtual Device. All three different options. At this point, it is worth noting that we can test the applications we make in Android Studio on virtual devices offered to us by Android Studio. The settings here are generally related to the performance of this virtual device. I suggest you choose all the options here. Otherwise, you may encounter some problems. But if you notice, Android Virtual Device cannot be selected right now. Doesn't matter, we can install it later. If you can choose it, choose it. Just below, we need to specify the SDK location. I usually set these locations as default. You can save it to any folder you want. I click the Next button again. On this page for the emulator, we can set the RAM size we will allocate. In general, we can use the size suggested here. While your emulator is running, the size you set here will be used from your RAM. Of course, when you close the emulator, your RAM will continue to run at its old size. Without changing anything, I click the Next button. This page also lists the settings we have made so far. If there is any setting that we want to change, you can return to the pages where we made the relevant settings by clicking the previous button. If you are not going to make any changes, if you confirm all the settings, we can complete the installation. I click the Next button again. On this page, we have to accept a license agreement for the components which will be installed. I select all of them and click the Accept button. Okay, everything is ready for installation. I start the installation by clicking the Finish button. As you can see, the installation has started. You must have an active internet connection during the installation phase. Otherwise, you cannot make a healthy installation. This process may take a while. For this reason, I stop the screen recording at this point, and when the installation is complete, we will continue where we left off. All right, guys, the installation is complete. I click the Finish button. Okay, so we've successfully completed the installation of Android Studio. Let's take a short break here, and in the next video, we will create our first project in Android Studio. So I'll see you in the next video.